Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. So today was the Fever Media Day and we got a few snippets, but it wasn't anything like last year. If I'm not mistaken, last year's Media Day felt chaotic. Like it was right in that early victory lap phase for the Indiana Fever. Everything had that hype, that buzz. This year, way more controlled, way more toned down. But still, there were some interesting takeaways. The biggest one, obviously, was Caitlin Clark saying she's the best transition player in the WNBA. And honestly, that should be a, well, yeah, duh moment. But instead, people are losing their minds over it. I don't get it. It's like if Angel Reese came out and said she's the best rebounder in the league, you'd just nod and move on. That's not controversial. That's reality. Now, shifting over to Myisha Hines-Allen, because her comments were just as interesting, she talked about joining the Fever and playing with Caitlin, and even mentioned that Indiana had been an option for her before in free agency. That lines up with something I've believed for a while, that she was basically the backup plan if Natasha Howard didn't work out last year. Think about it. If Howard had fallen through, it makes perfect sense that the Fever would have pivoted to Hines-Allen. Similar contract range, similar role, similar impact. Instead, she ends up signing late with Dallas, and things just didn't work out there. But context matters. Dallas wasn't exactly the best situation, and that affected how people viewed her. Now, coming into Indiana, the expectations are different. She doesn't have to be the star. She just has to be a solid piece. And honestly, in that role, she could be a really valuable addition.
Winning. Being able to play with Caitlin Clark, I think that was a huge eye-opening. Like, I had the opportunity to play with one of the greatest players that's ever going to play the game of basketball. So for me, once I also heard that, like, oh, she really wants me here too, I was like, oh, well, let's get it done then. There's no questions about it. So, and again, you have Aaliyah Boston, who is amazing. Like last year, I was so impressed with the way that she played last year. Like, just to be able to play off her, to help her continue to grow. It was definitely like, oh, I need to be here. I need to do this. And it's going to be challenging. I know it's going to be challenging. I know it's going to be tough from everything, from every aspect of basketball and life in general. So I'm ready for the challenge.
So yeah, that part is actually very clear. You can tell from the way she's talking, it's like, you know what? I've got a chance to play with Caitlin Clark, and that matters. That's not something players just casually say. And then when you add in the fact that she also mentioned Caitlin wanted her there too, that changes how you look at the whole situation. And I still don't understand why people got so worked up about the Myisha Hines-Allen move in the first place. Like, yeah, she wasn't great for the Dallas Wings last year, but you have to look at context. Context matters a lot more than people want to admit. If she was on a minimum contract last season and fought her way into a starting role, people would be praising that as a great story. But because she was coming off a bigger deal and then dropped down to a minimum, suddenly the expectations shift completely. And that's really what this comes down to. Expectations. When you're being paid like a top-tier player, people expect top-tier production. When that doesn't happen, the criticism is louder. But when you strip that away and just look at her as a role player, the conversation changes entirely. Because physically and stylistically, she brings things that matter. She's big, she's strong, she plays aggressive, and she's not someone who backs down. That edge is important, especially for a team like Indiana that's trying to build a tougher identity. That kind of presence doesn't always show up in box scores, but it absolutely impacts games. And when you hear her basically say, Caitlin Clark wanted me here, it explains a lot. People reacting like it's shocking, it really shouldn't be. If she's coming in as a backup, you're talking about a high-level backup player, someone who realistically had a market value way higher than what she's currently being paid. There are players around the league making significantly more money who don't bring the same level of impact or versatility. So from a roster-building standpoint, it's actually a really smart pickup. And then you look at the Fever's front court rotation, and it starts to make even more sense. She's effectively stepping into that role that was previously held by players like Bree Turner. At the same time, Natasha Howard's spot is being filled by Mo Billings, which is more of a like-for-like swap. At worst, that's neutral, but the upgrade in the backup rotation with Myisha Hines-Allen, that's where things get interesting. Now, there's also the question of younger players like KK Timpson and whether they'll make the team. And I've seen people overreacting to training camp clips saying she looks lost. But you really can't judge players off small snippets like that. At the same time, her recent performances overseas didn't exactly inspire confidence. So yeah, it's fair to have questions. Still, that's something that plays out over time, not in a few clips. Coming back to Hin Zalin, though, the role is very clear. She doesn't need to be a star. She doesn't need to carry anything. What she needs to do is be a reliable piece in the system, set solid screens, make the right reads, and keep the ball moving. And that's actually one of the underrated parts of her game, her ability as a connective passer. When she's not being asked to do too much, she can move the ball well, make the extra pass, and keep the offense flowing. That's exactly what you want alongside players like Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston. The key is putting her in the right situations. Let her operate within the flow, not outside of it. Because we've seen what happens when she tries to do too much, especially handling the ball in transition, and it doesn't always go well. But in a structured role, she's effective. And that's why this could end up being a really important addition. Maybe not the flashiest move, but one that fits, one that fills a need, one that gives the Fever more depth and flexibility. And you also have to factor in the situation she was coming from. Dallas last year wasn't exactly a stable environment. When a team is struggling and there's a spotlight on you, everything gets magnified. Every mistake looks worse, every bad game gets more attention. That's just how it works. If you're under the microscope and things aren't going well, it's the worst possible scenario for any player. On the flip side, if you're in a good system with a clear role and the team is winning, everything looks better. So a change of environment can make a huge difference. And Indiana right now feels like a much better fit for what she needs. At the end of the day, you've got a player who wanted to be there, a franchise player in Caitlin Clark who wanted her there, and a role that actually makes sense. That combination usually leads to better results. So yeah, when you break it all down, this move makes a lot more sense than people are giving it credit for. And if everything clicks the way it should, Myisha Hin Zalin could quietly end up being one of the more impactful additions for the Fever this season. So yeah, tell me what you think. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe.
Am I palming or spinning? Which one?
Spin first.
Oh, spin first. Okay. You ready?
Yeah, sure.
All right, hold on. I got a better one. No, that was bad too. Hold on. All right, lock in.
You're good.
All right. Hey, that looked crazy as hell. No.
Look better than I would.
I look like this.
Okay. You're right.
No? My fingers look so damn weird. Oh, that looked better. That looked better.
That was good.
She making me nervous. That's what it is.